Did you ever notice how kids have selective hearing? They don't hear, clean your room, but they can hear a candy wrapper from 3 rooms away. Kids might act like they're not listening, but they are always watching. They watch how you handle stress. They watch how you treat people. They watch if your faith matters as much on Monday morning as it did on Sunday when church folks were watching. The research tells us that kids who are raised with faith and a church, they do better in interactions emotionally, mentally, socially, and even physically. In fact, people who regularly attend church have lower rates of illicit drug use, lower rates of depression, fewer deaths associated with drugs and alcohol and suicide. They have lower rates of risk-taking behavior and higher levels of happiness and forgiveness and volunteering and purpose. Church isn't perfect. Showing up for 1 hour a week is not magically going to fix everything. But it does give kids and many grown-ups a sense of community, identity, moral grounding, hope, boundaries, and people who remind them that they matter. You matter. For thousands of years, the church has told people that God and community and coming together with each other is important. And now guess what? Harvard researchers agree that maybe your mama was on to something when she was dragging you off to church. How many of you watching had a mama or a papa or an auntie or an uncle or a Sunday school teacher or even a church lady who helped shape your life and make you who you are today? You may not remember every sermon, but you remember who loved you. You remember that feeling if you were raised in church. Many of us have church hurt, but that can be repaired. You just have to keep getting up and going back and finding the right place for you. Church isn't for God, it's for us. God already knows how it's going to turn out. We need the church. And the reason that we need the church is just like kids would eat candy for every meal if we let them, and so would some adults, maybe me. There'd be like no vegetables, just Reese's Cups and regret. Well, that's why children and adults, like me, need guidance. We naturally gravitate to what feels good. I mean, my family will tell you a bag of chips is not safe in my presence. But what feels good isn't always good for us. Church is food for your soul. Our soul needs truth and community and correction and forgiveness and hope. The world feeds us and our kids junk all week long. Social media, politics, anger, fear, comparison, influencers, pressure. Church reminds them who they are, who you are. Children of God, ambassadors to the kingdom of heaven, beloved by a creator who imagined you and knew you before he created the world. How many of you have ever made your kids do something that they didn't want to do because you knew it was good for them? You make them bathe and go to school and eat their vegetables and wear their seatbelts and have bedtimes. Nobody says, little Timmy doesn't feel called to clean his room today, or I want little Sally to explore her own truth about dental hygiene. We don't do that. Parents make choices that children are not mature enough to make. We choose church because children can't see what decades of wisdom teaches. Kids don't listen. They watch. Are mom and dad the same people at home that they are at church? Does the church practice what it preaches? You know, kids can spot a phony a mile away, and that's how they know a teacher who really cares about them. So don't pretend that church people are perfect. We are not. There's only one perfect person, and that's Jesus Christ. There is no one else in the church or in the world that is perfect. And we need to be honest with kids about that, in part so that they don't get disappointed and have church hurt, but also in part so that they have realistic expectations for themselves and their faith journey. Because do you know who else is imperfect in the world? All those other people they're going to encounter. People at school, at sporting events, at the PTA, politicians, people on Facebook Marketplace, especially people on Facebook Marketplace, right? So be honest about the human side of church and the human side of life while also teaching them to value faith. The Bible says that the world will know us by how we love each other. Do you know where the most spiritual place in America is? It's the car ride home from church every Sunday. If you are yelling and screaming at the cars in front of you because you're stuck at traffic and you're not going to get to the town buffet quick enough, your kids are watching that. If you're mean to the waitress when you get there, your kids are watching that. Your child is going to give you the same disapproving look that the Sunday school teacher gives them if they see you walking out of church and not taking Jesus with you. Kids remember more than they tell us, and they absorb the behaviors that we model. That does not mean that church people never struggle. Some of y'all are going to argue on your way home from church. Some of y'all argued on your way to church. Some of y'all are going to lose your minds trying to get out the door on Monday morning. It's okay, because we're not perfect. Some of y'all probably already snapped at your kids today. Church has human beings in it, and human beings are messy. But what children need to see is imperfect people who are still pursuing God. I was an incredibly imperfect young mother. I was a military wife doing the best I could with 3 young boys that loved to challenge me. And one Sunday, we got invited to a Nigerian church by my Nigerian radio co-host. We were on the air together in Cincinnati, and I love those folks. They were my family, my co-host. And so it was a big deal that we got invited to church. And I had never been to an all-Nigerian church, and so I didn't really know what to expect. And on getting ready, I was very tense because it was very important to me that this go well. And as I was putting my pantyhose on, I probably turned to yell at one of the kids, and I threw my back out. So I was in pain. The children did not want to go, and they did not want to be there. So I'm a young mother, I'm in pain, my husband's deployed, and I am dragging 3 heathens off to church. Now, this description is going to come important in a second. While I am mixed with many different things, I look very white. My sons also look very white, except that my oldest has a very distinct blonde afro. Okay. We were the only white-looking people in the church. Again, this becomes important. So I'm in pain. The kids are unruly. My Nigerian co-host starts to proceed in, and it's this beautiful Christian procession of all of the people that are going to be taking part in the service. My youngest son, 3 years old, knows that I'm in pain and can't chase him, and he's being egged on by his older brothers. So he breaks free, and as he breaks free and runs out of the pew, he's yelling, "Daddy Buka!" Well, Buka, my co-host, was neither his daddy, nor had he ever been his daddy. He had a daddy, but it was quite the scandal in the moment, because the whole church turns and looks at us as the toddler breaks free and runs down the aisle into the procession to Buka, screaming, "Daddy Buka." The other 2 boys decide this is absolutely hysterical, and they begin chanting, "Daddy Buka, Daddy Buka, Daddy Buka." To Buka's credit, he did not freak out. He picks up the little one in his arms, continues with the procession, which mystified the other two, so they shut up. And because I was ready to crawl under the pew. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought I was going to take my children to see Jesus that day. It was very difficult. But Buka handled it like a champ. He picks the little one up in his arms, and he continues to process down the aisle, and he preaches with the child in his arms. And people stopped staring at us, and I stopped feeling pressured and by my children and tormented, and it totally threw them off their game. And the reason that it did was that Christians behaved like Christians, and they showed unruly children love in a very stressful moment of disobedience. And it modeled something for me that I, as a young mother, needed to see. And that's what we can do as a church. Kids are going to push back. They're going to test boundaries. But some kids who test boundaries and who push back, they become CEOs, they become salespeople, they become politicians and attorneys and great orators. Some become preachers, because some of us never learned to stop arguing. I love to have a great theological debate. Your kids aren't going to like you every minute of every day. Mine will give you a litany of things that they don't like about me on any given day. I have grown children still holding grudges for boundaries that I set when they were toddlers. But what they need to know is that those boundaries are put in place because you love them. They might not understand it or appreciate it at the time, but remember, love without boundaries is chaos. Boundaries without love creates rebellion. But love with boundaries, that creates roots. And roots matter when storms come. And they will come. No matter how hard we try to protect our children, they're going to face heartbreak, failure, temptation, loss, fear, pressure, stress, all of those things that the world throws at us. And when that moment comes, pray that they have something deeper inside of them than what the world can give them. Pray that they have roots. Kids aren't going to listen. They're going to watch. They're going to watch whether faith matters when life gets hard. They're going to watch whether forgiveness is real. They're going to watch whether church is something you say or something you live. Children might one day walk away from everything that you've taught them. You may have a prodigal child, but never underestimate the power of the years spent watching authentic faith lived out in front of them. Take your kids to church. Not because church is perfect. Not because you're perfect, because we're not. And don't pretend to be. It's okay to be broken. You take your kids to church because kids need roots deeper than what the world can offer them. The strength of roots is the difference between whether a tree bends in the wind of a storm and pops back up, or whether it breaks against the storm. Give your children roots deep enough to withstand the storm. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face smile upon you and give you his peace. Be blessed, sweet friends. Take it one day at a time.